everyone, my name is Alyssa Boston, Miss Universe Canada 2019, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about national costumes. So this is an important part of the pageant, well, in my eyes it is. Although it's never scored, it's a great way to show your creativity and show your pride in your country. So I actually handmade my own costumes for Miss Eco International, Miss Supranational, and Miss Universe Canada. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of where I got the idea from, how I made it, and how long it took. I hope you guys enjoy. So my very first international pageant I competed at was Miss Eco International in 2018. I got to represent Canada in Cairo, Egypt, and I had about 1 month to fully prepare for this pageant. So it was super crazy. I had a lot of work to do. I had to think of a national costume idea, and since I've been kind of creative, I like to draw. I thought I could create my own costume, so I decided to give it a try. I wanted to do something that resembled snow. For Canada, obviously. But I don't really know what I was. I guess you could say a snowflake, angel, snow, queen, something. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I actually just took a Forever 21 bathing suit. It was pitch white, and I took a stencil of a snowflake, and I used this like puffy paint from Michael's and just stenciled on this pattern of snowflakes to kind of just add some color to it. And then my cousin actually helped me with that, so that was a huge help. We got that done a lot quicker than it probably would have taken. And then I sewed just like some beads down the center and around the collar just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then I cut an old hat and I put just the fur part around my head. And then I had leg warmers from Party Warehouse that you can buy. And I wore silver sparkly heels. So this is my costume that I wore for Miss Eco International. I got a lot of hits. I think it was okay. It was my first time ever making a pageant costume, so it wasn't terrible, but I think they got a little bit better as time went on. Okay, and then the second pageant I competed at internationally was Miss Supranational in Poland. So once again, I really wanted to create my own costume because I had a really good idea. Of course, mostly everybody watches the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and I'm a huge fan, and over the years, they've had a lot of cute outfits that resembled the snow. So I remember looking through some of the models and some of their outfits that they had and trying to think of what I could create that kind of resembled them. My two favorites were one that Candace wore and one that Karlie Kloss wore. So I tried to think of ideas and find materials that kind of resembled those things without having the budget that they obviously do. So this costume I actually bought on Amazon. It was like a bodysuit, but it was like a full-length stocking, and it was pure nude, pure see-through. So I bought a couple of them just in case I messed up the first one. And once again, I used the same stencil and the same puffy paint, and this time I did it all over the bodysuit, front and back. It was fully covered in the sparkly paint that probably took me like months and months because I was crowned in July, I think, and it wasn't until November, I think. So I had a lot of time to do it. My director actually got somebody to make me the coat, so that saved me a lot of time. But I really wanted this sexy, see-through Victoria's Secret style snow, once again, snow something that resembled snow. I'm not really sure. But yeah, this is what it is. And I wore leg warmers as well. And me and my roommate Australia, we called ourselves the Victoria's Secret models at the pageant because we both kind of had similar style outfits. This was definitely my favorite costume I made at the time. I loved it. It was a lot of hard work. Oh, and the thing I didn't mention is that I actually bedazzled it in between all the snowflakes. So if you look really closely, there's little gems all over it, and I did that like one at a time. So it was really time consuming, but I think it turned out pretty good. I actually love this outfit. I don't think I still have it, and I definitely wouldn't wear it again because it was so hard to put on because the paint hardens and then you can't stretch it. So it's a mess to put on. I remember just struggling, and so many girls had to help me put it on without ripping it because it's like paper thin, right? So I don't know, but this was the second costume I made. So this is my all-time favorite costume that I've ever created. This is the costume I wore at Miss Universe Canada in 2019, and I'm so proud of this one. It put all my heart, soul, and effort into this, and money. It was not cheap. But yeah, so this one I decided to be a maple tree. I sketched it out on a piece of paper. Well, actually, I got the idea from Miss Venezuela. I think 2014, she was some type of yellow tree. So I remember looking through old Miss Universe photos, trying to think of like some big idea that I could do. Because once again, I wanted my whole performance to look like I was ready to compete at Miss Universe. So what better way than to have a Miss Universe level costume? And yeah, Miss Venezuela, I'll show you guys a photo of it, wore something like this. So I decided this was a really cool idea and maybe I could create it. And one of our famous things here in Canada is the maple tree, because the maple leaf is on our flag. So yeah, I wanted to be a maple tree, and I don't know how I got the courage to even try this, but somehow it worked. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but it worked. Where to start? Okay, so once again, I bought a nude see-through bodysuit from Amazon. And I wanted to start with the bodysuit first, because if I could do the bodysuit, I think the rest of it would be easier, because the bodysuit would be the most time-consuming. And I regret doing this now, because I probably could have done it way easier now that I've done it. But I decided to, once again, bedazzle the entire, well, almost the entire bodysuit, front and the bottom half, with the smallest rhinestones possible. So that was a lot of effort, one by one with tweezers. I had tweezers in one hand and then a needle in the other hand, pushing it down after I glued each spot. It was the craziest thing ever. Anyway, so I bedazzled it kind of like a tree trunk, and I bedazzled it all the way through, down my stomach and down the center of my legs. I couldn't even tell you how many beads there are on that thing, and it was a lot. Anyways, but then there's so many yellow stones in it that it didn't really look brown. So I was like, oh my God, it's not even a brown tree. So I had to paint it. So I got some brown paint and I kind of outlined it a little bit, added some branches to kind of make it look more tree-like. I would definitely redo the bodysuit if I could, but it was good enough. It was fine. And then even on the arms, I had a little bit of stems, and I put a little bit of beads on them too. So then the craziest part was this tree. I had no idea how I was going to even start this. So I was Googling ways that people make like Victoria's Secret angel wings on YouTube, and how to even begin to start this process. But it was through a lot of trial and error, and going to the hardware store a lot to kind of see what size things would be. I don't even know what I was supposed to do. I was trying to put like a backpack thing on and put the stems in the backpack. Anyway, so it took professional help. My best friend's dad owns a tool and die shop, so we kind of took his advice and see what he thought would be the best way to build this. So the branches, each branch is a thick wire. Actually, it's a really long wire, and you can like bend them and curve them, but they're pretty strong, so they don't really move. But when you walk, they would like bounce, but they'll stay in place whatever way you mold them to. And then there was just a bunch of wires coming out from every direction, and the thing that held it together was this T-shape metal plate with holes in it. So it's like a metal plate like this in a T, and my friend's dad drilled a hole to keep it together in a T shape. I'll show you guys a better picture of it if I can't explain it. And then we put two pieces of wood on each side of it. So it's like a big T pretty much. And then there was always holes in it. So we put all the wires through all the holes, as many as we could fit. Then we secured it with the two pieces of wood on each side of that metal bar. And then we drilled it together to make sure, he drilled it together to make sure it'd stay in place. So we had all the branches lined flat and the T in the center. So then we had to kind of bend the branches to make it look like an actual tree. So I remember twisting the branches and trying to make them stay and putting them in all different directions. And then we had the wire part set. So then it was up to the leaves. So I ordered tons and tons of leaves on Amazon, but they didn't have stems, so then they couldn't attach. And I have a lot of leaves at my house, let's just say that didn't work out properly. So then I actually ended up going to Michael's, where they sold these vines of maple leaves, because it was fall, so it was perfect timing. That worked out really well. I was super happy about that. But Michael's is also expensive. So after the fall season was starting to end and they were bringing in winter stuff, there was a sale. So I went to the store and I bought as many leaves as I could buy. And I just kind of thread them through the wire. They had little rings attaching the whole vine together. So that part was super easy. And I would just tape it with little black tape to make it stay in place. And then I made cute little ankles, what's it called? Like little leaves on my feet. And then I actually got carried away and painted these old shoes that I have with brown paint, and then I added a little bit of a stem on it and added some gems to kind of make it all go together. So yeah, that was my costume. I was a maple tree at Miss Canada, and I remember when we were blocking for the opening ceremonies of everyone coming out in their costumes, the choreographer was like, okay, Alyssa, how big's your costume? And I was like, it's tree. And he's like, okay, yeah, but how big is it? And I was like, no, it's literally a tree. Like it's long, it's wide, it's big, it's everything. And he didn't believe me till he saw it. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, that is kind of the story of how I've created all my national costumes. I really enjoy it. It's a huge passion of mine. I've actually helped out a friend of mine do some of her costumes for when she competed internationally as well. Oh, and actually, fun fact, Mega Sandu did wear this costume at Miss International in Japan. It was such an honor to have one of my designs at one of the largest pageants in the world, and I'm so happy she got the opportunity to wear it. Making costumes is one of my favorite hobbies and pastimes. I really enjoyed it over the years, doing as much as I could when I competed internationally. I love the whole national costume segment of the pageant. Of course, for Miss Universe, I definitely did not create that costume myself, but that was also another amazing moment of mine. I love the national costume portion of pageants, and even though they're not scored, they do have a big impact. So keep that in mind when you're competing. But thank you guys for listening, and I hope you guys learned a little bit about how to make a national costume.